Ice seeps into my veins as darkness closes its fingers around me, its weight heavy and comforting. I release little more than a gasp's worth of air as I allow myself to sink deeper into the endless gloom. The beam of my flashlight offers little reprieve from the inkiness clouding my line of sight, yet I find myself in awe. There is an eerie beauty to the depths of the sea, a sweet horror as well. The lure of what lies ahead, unexplored by those with a good head on their shoulders. The gnawing dread of what lies below, blind eyes watching without seeing, and scenting the water for blood. And the lovely sorrow I now seek in a world of frigid twilight, at the behest of authorities unknown by me until recently. I recall the near-comical looks of surprise on their faces when I accepted the assignment without question, and I have to consciously decide against laughing. They must have expected some resistance, or a few days' consideration of the request at the very least. Perhaps they questioned my sanity or placed bets on whether I might be suicidal as they watched me, strapping the light around my head and taking a breath before sinking into the sea's embrace. Perhaps I'm the kind of person they were hoping for. Foolish enough to accept without sacrificing the sense required to get the job done. Perhaps they see me as a dog playing fetch for them. Less and less I find myself caring about what they think of me, my focus diverted to the flashes of living moonlight all around me. It's almost odd to see in this place of otherworldly night, glimpses of the dusk so far beyond my reach now. It's enchanting too, and that's precisely the point. A shock of cold races down my spine as one blinking light shakes, the hunter snatching up its prey. The chill twists around my bones and seems to drag me deeper as my light catches on disintegrating rust. It's little more than sediment drifting into the murk, down into the grasp of the unknown. It sinks slower than the rest of the structure, which must lie at the bottom of the sea, just below where I now tread water. A moment passes before the strangeness of the sight leads to my first question throughout this mission. How does a marine research base rust so thoroughly within the span of a few days? When they came to my door, knocking firmly with the authority they've come to wield like a blade, 3 days had passed. The first day was what it took for them to learn of the base's collapse. The second and the third had each seen 3 retrieval teams disappear below the waves. And the fourth was spent on a rather peaceful road trip to the coast, during which they were entirely silent, probably afraid they'd spook me into backing out if they opened their mouths. But before then, the integrity of the place hadn't been called into question. In fact, it had even undergone a few recent inspections, having only been in operation for a week before its collapse. It isn't my place to ask questions, and I'm not sure I want the answers to any that would come to mind now. But this one has me frozen in place for longer than I'd care to admit. Long enough, though, for me to become aware of the burning sensation in my lungs. Adding to the feeling of being bathed in ice, it's a chilled flame inside my chest that threatens to burst if I don't breathe again. The sooner the better, but if I ascend as quickly as I need to, there's no telling the toll it will take on the oxygen barely filling my lungs now. But then, there is none. A rush of bubbles escapes my lips as something new emerges from the darkness, something pale and nearly human in appearance. It charges through the water, milky eyes set on me, before turning. Slimy scales along its arm brush against my skin as the creature begins circling me. I don't dare move. hardly kicking my legs to keep from falling into the void beneath me, but the glow of my LED shakes along with the rest of me. It illuminates a thick tail trailing behind the creature's human torso. I think for a moment of the less romanticized depictions of mermaids and sirens, with their teeth like an eel's and their eyes as black as a shark's. The length of its tail only strengthens the comparison. Just longer than the mane of white hair, the tail must be close to 2 meters. Beneath the scales are firm muscles which tense with each movement as I watch them. It's a strong tail, encircling me with ease as the creature continues its path around me. The only way out now is up or down, and I doubt my ability to swim faster than this thing when I'm already feeling lightheaded. It smiles, sweetly, sickeningly, with its human lips. Little sunburst, lost in the deep dark. Whatever am I to do with you? There's no way to keep myself from gasping at the sound of its voice, a deep, hissing whisper, clear in its sound despite the muffling water. My throat and nasal cavity burn from the intrusion of the salt water, yet the spots that had begun appearing in my vision fade. Out of options, I take another breath, and the look of relief on my face must be what prompts the creature to chuckle. You've come home, then. Don't worry now. Mother will see to it that you adapt. Its teeth are rows of ivory razors as it grins, slowly closing the circle in on me until I'm wrapped in the coils of its tail. The ghostly membrane of its fin grazes my shin and flicks almost playfully against my skin. Time is our partner in this place. We lure the prey upon which it feeds, and in turn it helps the process along. Its hands are disturbingly soft as it grasps my wrist and lifts it to the beam of my flashlight. My eyes behold a sight that is equally dreadful and alluring. Golden scales forming along the back of my hand. It loosens its grip, both its hand and its tail, as a wretched screeching of metal sounds from above. It makes me turn back, guiding me to look at its sightless eyes as the smile becomes tender and loving. Go on, little sunburst. They've come so far with you already. Bring them to Mother.